Hello, friends, and welcome to Life with a Lama Healer. Well, we're back now in 2025, a new year, and we'll have many, many new episodes and inspiring people that we're having these wonderful conversations with. And if you're inspired by this podcast, please give us a like on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or YouTube, whatever platform you listen to. Please give us a 5-star rating if you're inspired to. Leave us a review. And also, if you set your notifications, if you subscribe to the channel and you set your notifications, then you'll receive a notification each time we release a new podcast. So today I'm filled with inspiration for 2025, even though we're in some challenging times around the world. But I always keep Lama's messages close to my heart. And one of them that I've been thinking a lot about lately, given the current news, which is a real downer, but I always keep really present in my mind what Lama always said, that the positive energy, the pure love, compassion, positivity will always win over negativity, will always win over evil. So I've been keeping that really front center in my mind these days, and it gives me hope and inspiration that the positive will win. So today I would like to introduce you to one of my long time friends from Brazil, Andrea Velloso. Andrea is a long time student of Lama Gangchen, having studied with him and met him in the early 1990s. And Andrea is a filmmaker, screenwriter, producer, super talented, creative person. And she is the producer of the award-winning documentary about Lama Gangchen called Tendrel. And Tendrel was filmed in the Amazon, the Andes Mountains, and Tibet. And Tendrel is, which means interdependence, that all things are connected. And so this really beautiful film showing the interdependence of everything in the universe, but especially the elements in these three places. So if you haven't seen this film, I highly recommend you watch this film. But please join me in welcoming Andrea, because you're going to hear some really inspiring stories of how this film came to be, and Andrea's inspiring story of her life with Lama Gangchen. Please join me in welcoming Andrea Velloso. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Hello, it's a big pleasure to be with you in this moment.
Really beautiful. We get to share this time and go down memory lane to talk about one of our favorite topics, right? Our life with Lama Gangchen. Yeah. So I know that you're a very creative person. You're the filmmaker, documentarian, artist. Tell me, what was it like in your creative field to meet a living Buddha, someone who was such a high master in this creative space that you're in? What was that like for you?
It was a big challenge because first, I just received a message from our friend Deborah Tabakov. She invited me to make a project, to make a registration in Amazonia. She said he wants to invite you to make a movie in Amazonia, in Andes, and also in Tibet.
Amazonia, Andes, and Tibet.
But I was making a movie, a feature movie. I was very excited about the invitation, but I decided it's impossible for me because I was just starting to do documentaries. For me, it's a new experience, and I think now it's too much responsibilities. Maybe it's better someone more professional than me to do that. This Lama was crazy, totally crazy, because I said, no, for Amazonia, how can I do a epic documentary around the world? I said, no, you joke with me. How can I do that?
Right.
Don't have any possibility. But after that, I could not sleep anymore because I have been 1 year before in Nepal and also in India. It was my first trip in my life for a place very isolated like that. And I was with many Tibetan families because I met them in Nepal. After this invitation, I was thinking, I said no to that. Never more a Lama come to for me, something like
It's
that.
such a project.
But in the same time, how can I live without this opportunity? It's very stressed for me because I'm start to be very anxious about that. And because I'm not a Buddhist, I will try to understand. But the first connection between me and Rinpoche was by this special invitation.
Wow.
My first connection with the Dharma also was I had a boyfriend and he invited me to come to the Lama Michel's birthday in Belle's house. Lama Michel, on that time, I don't know, he has 12 years old or 10 years old. I don't remember exactly, but he's very young.
Yeah. So it was in the 1990s?
Yes, it's 96, 95. I don't remember the age, but he's very young. And I'm arriving Belle's house and in the middle of the self-healing meditation. And when I saw everybody making choreography, dancing and singing the mantras, because I never heard before that. And I said, oh, it's very active, this meditation. Everybody make movements. And all the time in our travels, in the house and everywhere, I asked, please, can we listen the mantra, the self-healing? And I was singing this melody and I was totally connected. And after this invitation, so I met Lama Gangchen first already working.
Yes. Right. The energy is already penetrating your mind.
Epical project between Andes, Amazonia, Himalaya. And after that movie that I was doing, that feature movie, I said, but how can I do? Because I will go to England to spend 1 year there. Because I asked, how can I will make this? Who will sponsor that? Because it's a big project.
Yeah. It's a lot of money you need to do that and people, resources.
And she said, no, you can start to talk with him. And I was in London. I'm start to read many texts. I'm start to
Yeah.
experiences. And I say
Right.
all those things are very interesting about the nature, the environment, the elements. And I'm started to read many things. And I'm spent a year trying to call him. And it was very difficult to plan something to talk with him, was very hard.
So you went to London to do a film project. So you were going to be there for a year. But during this time, you were studying Buddhism. And as you said, this lab about how does my mind work? Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to read and to study texts and about the interdependence and all those concepts. So after I'm trying a lot to talk with him, but in the end, I was giving up. I said, no, maybe he invited me, but he's not very serious about
And in
it.
those days, there was no email, there was no cell phones, and he was around the world. So it was difficult to actually
Yeah,
connect with him live or on the telephone.
I'm from the movie stuff. So I know that for a startup project, you need to make a big plan, organize equipment and so on. So I said, no, I need to try in a serious way. And I give up after many months. And one day he called me and said, Rinpoche is going to England to make a retreat. So he invites you to make this retreat. And on that time, I could not because I was finishing a course there in London. But she said, he's inviting you to lunch with him. And a friend of mine bring me to Glastonbury, to Avalon.
Avalon.
For me, everything was very, very magical. I said, oh, here I was in Glastonbury. And I was impressed because my mother gave me a book about King Arthur, and I was reading about the relation of them. And when I arrived in Glastonbury, a little bit late because we lose in the middle of the way. When we arrived, I and my friend, they said in the Glastonbury Abbey, the Buddhist group was downstairs. And when I came, Rinpoche was sitting inside over the big stones, like a symbolic tomb of King Arthur's. So when I saw, I said, it was so strange to see Rinpoche there with many people in front of him. And I was very emotional about that moment. And my mala, I was with a mala that I received in Nepal from one of those Tibetan families. And when I saw Rinpoche, everybody in a silence and Rinpoche talking, and my mala broken it.
Wow.
I looked my friend and I said, oh, that's a bad sign. Terrible. And everybody look us. And I'm very embarrassed because I'm ashamed about disturbing everybody. And Lama Carolines came to me and said, did you know Rinpoche? And I said, no, it's my first time. And she looks me and said, and your mala was broken. And I said, yes, I'm very ashamed about that. It's a bad sign because how could it be? And she said, no, it's so special
that's
sign.
a good sign.
And I'm arrived expecting a meeting with him, a professional meeting with him for start to plan the travels and the moves and so on.
The way you knew how.
And Lama Caroline said for me, look, when finished this, Rinpoche will take your hand and also your friend's hand, and you go to the restaurant together so you can start to talk with him. And I said, no, how can I talk? Many details about this in walking. It's very difficult. And Lama Caroline start to laugh and
Laugh.
it's like that, is that way.
It's Lama's way.
Yeah. And I said, but how can I talk everything that I need? And when Rinpoche arrived to take our hands, exactly as Lama Caroline said, and we start to walk, he looked to me and I forgot everything that I have to talk with him.
Right?
I could not to talk nothing. I don't have one word. And I remember my father always said to me, when you will talk with someone something important and you forgot because you are nervous, try to start with 3 points. That's work. You decided 3 things and you started 1, 2, 3, and the things come to your mind. And I remember that. And he looks me, yes, and I don't have any word. And I said, okay, 1, I want to make a movie with you on those places. I'm accept, but I'm not a Buddhist and I don't know nothing about Buddhism. I'm just start to read something. First of all, I need to ask if it's possible to make a movie for people that is not a Buddhist people. Because like me, I think many people have interest and curiosity about the philosophy. So I will look as a child It's okay for you. And he looked to me and said, okay, okay. And I said, I have three things to say to you and start to this. And after he looks to me and said, okay, second. And I said, I thought about the name of the movie because I don't want to make just a registration because you will meditate and I don't know how can I shut those meditations because it's very abstract to make a movie. I want to connect those three places, those three parts of the film with the title of the movie, because I think this could be a connection and a feel, how I say,
Red.
the point to start. And after he says, and the third, and I said, the third, I tell you just after lunch because I didn't remember.
Yeah, right, right.
And we came to the restaurant. He invited us to his table and we started to talk there. But everybody was looking at us because we are not in the retreat. So who is those two girls that arrived just in the last day? And I feel also very shy about staying in that table with him. So I said to him, Poche, thank you for your invitation. You are very kind. I don't feel good here with you because we didn't make this retreat and all those people need to stay here with you and sit with you. So I will sit very far away for don't disturb. And in the end, we talk.
Right, you're telling him what to do and what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, never refuse, no, the invitation.
Yeah.
And he was looking from his table for us all the time in the middle of the lunch.
So you got up and you moved to a different table.
Yes, he's a little bit like
Yeah,
that.
like, who is this woman?
Like, how will you get out? But I think it's better. Everybody needs to stay here with you and we can talk a little bit in the end of this lunch. And for him, it was something strange. And we came to another table in the middle of the lunch because he was looking all the time. He came to our table and said, please tell me the third thing.
Oh, the third thing. Right, third point.
I said, okay, the third is we will do a big, big work together for a long time. I don't know how can I say that.
Yeah, how did that come out of my mouth, right? Where did that come from?
And we talk a little bit about the possibilities, the movies. And first was he planned the Amazon, but we will make Andes first.
She had this very unique way that he liked to change things. He would say, okay, we're doing this way. And then he would see with his clairvoyance that the conditions had changed, or maybe it was better to do another way. And then he would change the whole thing. Right. And then you go a different way. I remember many times Cozy, who organized all his trips and the agenda and all the conversation, that he would do this change and she'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I just spent all this time planning and now we're changing to another way. But he was very, very spontaneous like that. I always had this feeling he was listening to a completely different energy than the rest of us. And he was directing the energy in the most positive way. And he knew that more than any of us did. You know, he's such a high being. Where did you access the Andes? Were you in Argentina or where did you go? What part of the Andes did you go to start?
Andes in Argentina, in a beautiful sacred park. This group organized healing art with 5 elements. Is that project? We did some art performance, something more interesting about the relation with the elements. And so we started. That is a big process.
Yeah, multi-year process.
Situations like music from water inside the bottles and also flags. I prepare many big white fabrics and bastons for make flags. We came up to the mountain with those flags. Are very beautiful scenes about that.
The film was showing the five elements of fire, wind, earth, water, and space. And you were showing these elements and how they manifest in these different parts of the world.
Yes, of course. No, the film after we started this project about the elements between Andes, Himalaya, and Amazonia. That's a Rinpoche's project to connect the same pure essence of the elements with the people, with rituals, and the connection from those rituals and from those sacred meaning for these people from pure places, from the top of the mountain in Argentina, also in Amazonia with the natives and indigenous. In Andes, we try to engage those interactions from the travelers because it's a big group, not just from Buddhism people, many people that have interest in Tibetan Lama, healer Lama. So many people from everywhere came from everywhere in the world, big group. And I make those art performances with the elements.
And mirrors, too. Didn't you have these big mirrors?
Yes, the space element is represented by the mirror. We decided to go by telefericals, sky station. You go in the sitting to the top of the mountain by the lines.
Yeah, like a sky tram, like a
Yes,
ski lift.
you go to the top of the mountain by the lines. And I asked for everybody take the mirrors from the hotel. And everybody came with those mirrors and we could do a beautiful moment that like a child really jumping
Yeah.
with the happiness because we make a circle and we make a little circle with mirrors inside of this big circle with people. Everybody walked to one side, making the space mantra, and the mirrors come to the other sides, and we could just see the sky, our hands, our faces in that space. It
And the
was
sun reflecting. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. It is such a magical moment in that movie because everyone was so joyful and the mirror was reflecting all these images. It is really powerful part of this movie.
now he Puchu looks like a child, his eyes shining. He was very happy. For me, it was very special, very deep. And the trip was wonderful. I had very special moments on that trip.
Wow. Andrea, you told me one story a year ago or two when we were in Italy in Albagnano and we met. And you were telling me this story that when you were on the film, you either ran out of water or electricity, maybe it was. And there was a story that Rinpoche then just manifested something that was essential to the film.
Because it was very, very cold in Andes. And we recharged the batteries. And when we put our feet outside, 5 minutes after the batteries going down, because we are using super 16 millimeters film. We must use a big batteries inside the camera. And we recharge, and with the cold weather, we put all those inside our coats and the body, close to the body, for don't lose too much energy. But we start to walk to go to those places, and was unbelievable. The batteries lose all the energies.
They died. They lost the energy from the cold because it was and the altitude.
Yes, and was very difficult for us to recharge and to improve because we start to make something and we could not finalize. I was with a friend, Andrea, and he has this camera. We came with this equipment. It was very heavy and need a lot of care about everything. And I came to him with a very delusional, and I said, Rinpoche, how can we do? Because we could not shut nothing. When we come to anywhere, we lose the energy from the batteries. And he looks me, he understand immediately, and he looks me and said, okay, come inside, sit on the bed, maybe sleep a little bit, relax, close your eyes and sleep a little bit. And we are in the middle of the plans and the day. And I said, how can I do that? Because I'm worried about everything. I was crying about that. And he says, no, just eat, close your eyes and stay here for 5 minutes quiet. And he's close to me in a chair. He asked to give him the batteries. And I give all the batteries. And he says, please wait here, close the eyes, stay here, relax. And okay, we spend the time there, little time. I don't know, but maybe 5, 8 minutes. He says, hello, Andrea, you can go now. I said, okay. And he asked me and said to go with the batteries. And I said, but what happened? And he says, nothing. Now work. Now you can go. Everything will be nice.
Will work.
And we go. And I could not believe the batteries stayed much more time with energy than the normal. We could do
Wow.
always that we needed, and we come back with energy.
Wow.
It's like a miracle. I said, how you make that? And he don't talk about that. And he do like it.
He winked at you and put his thumbs up. It's my magic formula. But I'm not telling you what it is. It's so interesting about Lama Gangchen that so many of our guests have talked about. We call them a miracle because a miracle is something that happens that we don't necessarily understand, how it happens. Yeah. But we witnessed it. And those of us who witnessed those kinds of miracles many, many, many times with Lama Gangchen, he has just such like extraordinary, otherworldly Buddha energy to make things like that happen, right?
Yeah.
When you witness it, it's so powerful. And so tell me, after witnessing that, did that give you like more faith in Lama and who he was as a teacher and as a healer? Have you trust him more, or what was the experience after you witnessed that?
When we change, because he says about impermanence all the time, when he change everything he says, it's like a joke. No, I'm start just to understand all those real situations that everybody need to improve. He teaches a lot. Always, it's like a dance. In that moment, I was not Buddhist, and I started to observe. I started to understand that it's a way that I start my journey in a new, different way of my life. And I'm start to saw that I was learning all the time, and I was totally with a kind of attention that I never had before. Also because in a movie, I'm as a art director, I need to organize many people, the budgets and so on. But on that experience with him, I'm started to see in a parallel way, I need to start understand why I'm here. I'm not just trying to make a epical movie that he invited me. I understand that in the first two was very
The
strong.
vehicle was the film, but really it was about your spiritual evolution, right? It was about your
Was
life.
a journey, and I was too much compromised because I'm said to him, we will make a big project in many years of our lives or something like that. But I understand to take care about how I look at everything and how I understand and start to create this space to a parallel screenplay.
Yes, for your own personal journey. So now I'd like to share with you a recording of Lama Gangchen saying the mantra of interdependence, mantra of dependent arising. So in Tibetan, the word Tendrel, which was the name of Andrea's film, it means dependent arising or interdependent causation. And it's referring to the Buddhist concept that all phenomenon arise in relationship to other phenomenon. So essentially, it's meaning that nothing exists independently and that everything is connected through cause and effect, which is a very profound thing to realize. This interdependence, it literally changes the quality of our life when we really realize that everything is interdependent and nothing exists without causes and conditions. So the exact translation of the mantra that we're going to hear Lama sing is Om. All phenomenon are dependent on causes and conditions. We know this because the Tathagata, the truth-telling great ascetic, the Buddha, said that what does not depend on causes and conditions does not exist. Soha. So please enjoy Lama saying this really important prayer.
Omoye dharmaye do barbavaye dun dehin dada gado ewan dada dehin zayo neroda ewan bade ma shaman soha. Oma sombava shuddha savadama sombava shuddha.
This morning, I had a call with the UN Committee on Spirituality, Values, and Global Concerns. And it was a project that Diane Williams, I don't know if you've met Diane, Lama had helped her and many other people, Nina Meyerhoff, Alfredo, myself, Ishtar, create this committee at the United Nations to bring spirituality to the United Nations or have that part of the dialogue, not just the political and the civil society. And I was reflecting on that this committee was, yes, it was something that's super positive happening in the world, but it was also for all of our evolution to come deeper into the conversation about peace, the conversation about our global one humanity, human values, nonviolence, and that we were all evolving as we worked on this project, personally. So Rinpoche had this incredible way of, and many of the guests on our show, they talk about this, that Rinpoche could see our capacity and he would give us a project that would expand our capacity. It was always much bigger than we thought we could do, always much, much bigger. But it was a vehicle to help us to come to this inner peace and realizations about interdependence and the law of karma, compassion, all the Buddha teachings. But the project was just the vehicle, right? It's so interesting. What a masterful way he had in working with us all to expand and really reach our capacity or potential, grow our potential. So I love this that you shared this about the film and that this was a vehicle.
Yes, was a turning point for me in that moment. You said something really strong because you have this big talent that discover before you discover your life. He discovered that you have some talent and he tried to connect everybody. He creates situations, the way to United Nations between all the religions and many projects to include everybody. He look and he tried to develop the best of you. You have security about your own talent. And that's unbelievable because
So rare.
yes, I said, oh, I'm okay. I work with movies, but it's feature movies. I never make documentaries. I love to make. It's my project. Deborah knew about that. That's why she invited me to make the registration. But it's something much, much more bigger for me than I could to do. But in the end, I'm coming with all my attention, with all my energy in a way that I changed my life totally. I sell my house. I had a house on the beach. There was a project for when I retreat my life. I will live on the beach
When you
in
retire.
Caraíva, in a paradise, in a beautiful place. But when I had a moment in that film that everything changed, many things happened in many years. And one time that I was in the middle of the hurricane that I said, wow, I bought many tickets to go to Tibet, but the sponsor that I was trying to financiate this part of the movie. And he said, no, I need to change everything. I could not to give you any more money now, maybe next year, because this is normal in the project. But with input, I could not to say input. I lose the sponsor for that part of the movies. So I'm decided to sell my house and I sell it exactly for the value that I needed to came with my producer and to stay in a comfort way and we could to do.
Yeah. Pieces of the puzzle that come together.
Everybody will connected with each other and each one doing different things. It's beautiful.
Incredible. He was amazing that way.
It's a pure interdependence. Many people that maybe never will meet each other in the life, but Rinpoche make us together
It's
and
like an orchestra, right? He was like a conductor of an orchestra. He put together all the pieces to make it sound beautiful.
it's beautiful also because he broke the concept about family, because Sangha for me, it's something I came from a very Catholical family and I thought it's a new kind of family, but it's not just the people who came in the same church or temple. We start to connect between many different projects. Now, each one are doing your own project, but all those projects are in the same way, many beautiful connections and everybody help each other and we start to make many things and we start to be a family, a different family, a real family. It's so good, so nice.
Yeah, it's a family that's really grounded in love and compassion and acceptance and forgiveness. And I mean, we all have our jealousies or, get upset. I'm sure, the global Sangha, many incidences happen where people react in normal ways, but the commitment.
Between us happen, between everybody, because it's not just peace and love. We
Yeah.
really live. I remember Borobudur. Borobudur, Rinpoche said, when you went to Borobudur, Borobudur, it's a portal. You will lose many karmas, many things there. So I had many bad dreams there in the night. I could not sleep. But all of us, we help each other in that way because it's very strong for it.
We're all going through it together, or we've gone through it.
Yeah, it was very strong. I remember just saw people crying and talking very emotional with Rinpoche, and Rinpoche something very tranquil. Everybody was cleaning. I remember one work meeting between many people with Rinpoche in the Rinpoche's room, and everybody arrived with many energy to talk, and everybody with talking some problems. And he said to Cozy, okay, first everybody will eat here. And I said, eat? And he prepared a soup, a little soup for everybody, and said, yes, because you are hungry. So you will eat first. And it was a big learning because everybody stopped the energy and start to drink the warm soup, everybody together in the silence, in a natural silence, everybody. And we transform complete the energy and the state to start to talk enough because was sacred places is wonderful, but it's also start to put out many things that are sleeping inside you, difficult and hard. And so the Borobudur was, we start the trip a little bit excited and full of anxiety. So in the end, we come back to our houses full of blessings and full of space inside, with much more clarity, much more focus for everything. So the importance about the sacred places, I never thought about that because I travel a lot and it's totally different stay in a sacred place with the master, with the guru that know all the layers about that place.
This is a really great point. I'm so glad you brought this up because many people think spirituality is all about love and peace and everything is in harmony all the time. But when we were with Lama Gangchen, there were many not harmonious moments because, like you said, we were cleaning out our karma. And you confront your anger, you confront your fear, you confront your jealousy, you confront your selfishness. I mean, he was just a master at helping us to look those negativities in the face and then help us to purify them. I'll never forget one time I got so angry. This anger came like raging out of me. It was like this snake going, roar, this anger. Woo! And for, I don't know, a couple hours, I had to go for a walk and then I had to go for another walk and then I had to go for another walk because I was, this like wrath coming out of me. And after we come down and then we moved to go to the airport, and we're sitting at the airport waiting for the flight to board the plane. And Rinpoche looks at me, sits down next to me and he goes, anger today. And for me, when I go through things like this, I don't speak so much. I just go through them. I don't really like to talk so much about it. So I just looked at him and just through the way he was being and the way he was working with me, he was helping me to really move this and transform it out of anger. But I want to make this point because, like I said, many people think it's easy being around the spiritual path and everything is love and peace and harmony. It's not. I think all of us who studied and traveled with Lama for many, many years, we had to confront our demons many, many times, right? Confront past life things that needed to be purified, confront our negative emotions, to confront our fears. But yet, just this profound way of him working with us in such a skillful way, then there's this liberation from whatever that karma is, whatever that negative habit is.
And maybe we lose many time in the life to understand that something is wrong or something need to be clear. And when we were in this kind of place with the master, the energy of the architecture and the layers of the time with many meanings and many layers of using that object, that place, that architecture, the big space, no, the construction with many things inside that, no, because mantras and so on. So it's so strong. People in Borobudur start to conclude, how I say, couples start to breaking up, decided to stop the relationship. Many other people start the relationship. Many sons and brothers and sisters or mother and daughters. And we saw many things happen between those people in many levels and everybody clean. Maybe you will spend years doing therapy or doing, I don't know, but in that places you burn and
Move through, burn it. Yes, that's a perfect word. You burn it, burn that karma. Yeah, and Rinpoche, in my experience, had this ability. And of course, then being in these holy places also, Albignano, Budur, Tibet, many of the places that we went to, you burn the karma and you burn the situations that arise in your life because of that karma, and it doesn't come back. You burned it. That's the power. You could spend years and years in therapy talking about a problem. You could even go through hypnosis and remember past lives, and I was in this war, this trauma, or blah, blah, blah. But with Rinpoche, it was like burned and it was done. That's my experience.
yeah, no, wonderful, because really it's not a logical thing. Maybe it's like you said, maybe it's something from the other lives. It's something that you bring for many generations as a woman or as a human being. I don't know. You are bringing. And so in one moment you can liberate something there. Sometimes it's by a anger moment. Sometimes if someone is too much controlled, too much inside, and never have the moments that could react to something, there you will react. It really liberate. I saw many peaceful persons there change the personality and so many things that we don't know because anyone with your situations, but to live that together, so special, very special, is something unusual for us, but was very strong.
Yeah, and we have a bond with each other because of that. We witnessed that. I'll never forget this story. I don't say the details, but many times Rinpoche was helping me to purify something. And then Cozy would be there in the moment when I'm shattered, or in the moment I'm crying, or in the moment I'm going through this portal of purification. There would be Cozy holding my hand.
It's wonderful. No,
Right?
it's a different kind of brothers and sisters. We are like a divine in that moment. We don't know all the history about someone that you are, but many times we could stay together and in a very strong moment. I saw many people crying with the other person that never saw in the life first. It's a very beautiful. It's very special, really.
I love it. The Buddha of generosity, the supreme healer of generosity. So, Andrea, I want to ask you if you could give some advice to spiritual seekers, people who are on the spiritual path, who want to be on the spiritual path. What advice could you give?
For me, the most impressive thing that I learned with Rinpoche, it's really to have the five great mothers from the elements, the five elements as a refuge, as a friend, as a presence, very strong and deep all the time, because I never before thought about, for example, fire could be the sun, the sweat, the heating inside your body, the belly. How many connections with the elements you can find and you can discover in the self-healing of the environment, and all the connections between the organs, inner organs, external organs, the emotional things, and the connection with all those elements in a different way. You never will be alone. We are all the time with our best friends that are those five mothers of the elements. I'm started to enjoy when I was confused with some resolution, that choice, a way or a solution. And I'm start to talk. I came to a lake or to the sea, and I'm start to stay with the water, talking with the water. Sometimes it's a glass of water. Sometimes it's a match with fire. But I start to talk and to include those in my day life. And also when you study and to see the connections between the wind with the fear, the courage, and the realizations, and it's open a big window. No, it's like a other life. It's a parallel life because it's too much connections. And I'm see those like really my best friends, my best masters, because Rinpoche teaches that the great mothers of the elements. So it's so beautiful, a possibility of fertility, that side, that feminine side of the fertilization of all those concepts in our life. So, and special the space, because for me, understand that the fifth element is the space, and the space, it's something that you can, if you have a big situation in your life, a good one or a difficult one, but you can understand which space you give to anything, to any person in that moment. Do you remember when he said to us about the big armchair, that when we have problems, we don't stay with the problem? When you open the doorknob, the box, when you have many different box inside the armchair. So you open one little box and you decided which size of this problem will occupy in your life. So he said, when you feel good, maybe you decided to go to the movie, to the cinema, you change plan, stay at home in a good mood, and start to open your boxes.
Like the drawers of a cabinet, right?
Yes. And you start to open your problem boxes and decide if those things occupy many space in your head, in your life, and if the correct space to that problem in that moment in your life. The subjects that you organize in your life, sometimes you need to open more space for that. You give a bigger space box for that, and you live there in your cloud. And that's changed my life when he said like that, because I said, oh, it's really spaces. And when we meditate, we remember that, and we remember that our problems or our questions are so small in front of that space, those big ones. And many times he says, come here, look now to this space, memorize now that. And I'm start to feel this space and give space, and you can breathe again. So you can expand the life, enjoying, discovering.
What you're saying, Andrea, is life altering. I want to highlight this because this is so profound. Many people, they think, if you're in the spiritual path, people are really spacey or they talk about space. You're not talking about it in an airy fairy way. You're talking about it in a very practical way that completely alters your perception of a situation or situations and your life. This is so profound what you're saying. Literally, by embracing space and integrating it into your life and getting intimate with this element of space literally changes your whole view of how you see reality, right?
Yeah, because, for example, the land also is beautiful that all the systems, now so systems change the place of the elements. No, it's not always the water here change the place of the chakras. No, that's beautiful. That's permanent. Everywhere, many tragedies with wars inside everywhere and destroying houses and cities and so on. You understand that connected with too much emotion, too much anger. So if you understand that water is connected in that way with the opposite of love, you can understand, and you can also, if you have too much anger, you can go to the water and you can use the elements as you, for example, if you are too much attached with everything, too much attached with someone or things, maybe you can go to the ground to make your feet there. And because earth is connected or fire, we need to understand the system that we are thinking in the elements, no? But it's beautiful to think that and to use the elements in a daily life. Any minute you can use it. If you sweat, you can connect with that and know that you are living something that you are too much emotional about an anger with something and you are sweat, the water. So it's beautiful. It's so deep, all those teachings from Rinpoche. We can expend many lives understanding that.
Learning and studying and understanding. I love it. So beautiful.
Beautiful. I suggest everybody connect with the 5 elements.
Yeah. And also, even studying Tibetan medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, which is very much guided by our health and well being, our mental health, our physical health, environmental health, the elements. So that's also something we can expand to actually increase our well being also through diet and exercise and many things.
Yes, but Ayurvedic is a very physical and healthy. You think always in that way. But with now, so that we complete our mind with many icons and sacred objects, and we don't clean our mind like Zen Buddhism because it's the same, but it's another way. That way from the Tibetan Buddhism that we full our mind with symbols, with symmetries, with harmony between colors, between so many layers that we pull our mind and our chakras because it's full of images, many sacred images and symbols that help us to understand those connections. Know the winds that came to up and the winds that came to down, the pervasive winds, and all those is like poetry for me. It's beautiful because it's in a way that you understand the connection between the organs and how to heal that, but you also change my mind because I work with visualization in my work. I need to visualize for construct. So for me, it's easy to visualize. Rinpoche gave us this quality to expand the space. You really could create many things, castles, palaces, all with just energy and smells and lights and how it's so beautiful.
Mandalas of holy places, beautiful places.
It's a gift. This is wonderful to understand how to heal.
Yeah. So I love this, creating these mandalas and using your mind. You're lifting your mind out of the normal habit of seeing what's wrong in the world or seeing what's wrong with other people or what's wrong with yourself, right? It's lifting up into another kind of reality of bliss and emptiness.
Remember one time, Rinpoche, he said, you can stay inside the mandala. You can meditate inside the mandala. You can meditate that you are walking around. You look to the image and you start to image you little walking around and you feel the wind coming and you look the fire around this circle. But he says, not just for enjoy, for heal, you need to understand what the fire is doing there, why the wind come to you, not just because it's enjoyable, but because the wind can heal something that you need in that moment. So you start to recognize, live the feelings and the things happen from where you look and receive what you are looking, what is happening with you inside the mandala. That's wonderful for me because I feel very free to not memorize completely everything in a very perfect way. I don't like perfect concepts about things because I think it's also beautiful our fragility, our vulnerability, our to be good with us when we are not in a good moment. So come inside the mandala in that moment, really there, really inside. So I think all those icons and archetypals and really the deities and all is real. So heal us.
Yeah, because you experienced it. Yeah. Wow. So beautiful. Well, Andrea, I always ask my guests to say a dedication that this conversation be a benefit to the people who are listening. So, is there any kind of dedication you'd like to make, either a prayer or a mantra or a saying?
Yes, I want to make the Tendrel mantra because it's an interdependent mantra. For me, it's so beautiful. Om ye dharma hetum prabhava hetum teshan tathagataya vadate shankaya niroda evam vadi maha samana su.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You're so creative. I love it. Thank you for your insights and sharing your life with Lama Gangchen. So inspiring. And you gave us many things to really consider and deepen and listen to, take with us into our hearts and our lives. Thank you, Andrea. Really beautiful conversation.
For me, it's a big honor to stay here with you. A big honor. Thank you, Lelia.
We get to keep our Lama's legacy alive, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andrea. I love this conversation with Andrea. I love talking to people who are super creative. You know, they just say things in a different perspective that helps me to see things in a new way, in a fresh way. I just love that. And she's filled with all this incredible creativity. And Andrea asked me to share this story that after our interview, you know, she had said, "Oh, there was this really important part of my story with Lama that I'd really like to include in our episode." And she said that, you know, she was a filmmaker doing this documentary, Tendrel, about Lama Gangchen and the interdependence of the elements in those places that she described. And so she was really doing the project as a professional. She said, but at some point, you know, she felt that she really wanted to go deeper into Lama Gangchen's philosophy and his teachings and his practices. And she was really moved by him and his teachings. And so she started reading his books and, really felt deeply the message about our interdependence and peace and the Dharma. And she said the first time that she did the self-healing practice, right after she completed the practice, Lama Gangchen called her. And this is in the 90s, when long distance, she was in Brazil. Lama Gangchen was actually visiting New York at the time. Long distance calls were very expensive. We didn't have, email and texting and WhatsApp and all the things that we have now. So the fact that he called her right after she completed doing the meditation practice, self-healing, and he said to her, "How's your mind now?" And she said, "Oh, Rinpoche, how did you know? How did you know?" No, he says, "How is your mind now?" That's the question that he wanted her to answer. How is your mind now? And I've been thinking about this so much, about that. How is your mind now? That Rinpoche was so pointed with that. And of course, with his clairvoyance, he was connected to Andrea, and he knew that at that moment she had completed the practice. And so I asked her, "Well, how was your mind right after you did the self-healing for the first time?" And she said, "I felt so much peace and so much joy." She said, "But also so much clarity. And I understood the meaning of so many things that Lama was teaching after I did this practice." And that started her on her journey of really going deep into the practices of Buddhism and Lama Gangchen's teaching. So it shifted her from, being more of a observer doing this project to actually being a student and really experiencing the profound benefits of the self-healing practice and Lama Gangchen's teachings. But one of the things that I want to leave you all with is how is your mind now? And I've been thinking about this, that in these different moments of the day, our mind goes up and down. One minute we're sad, and then the next minute maybe we're frustrated. Another minute maybe we feel stressful. Another minute we feel peaceful. Another time, during the day we might feel, just very neutral, or we get aggravated. Our mind goes up and down all the time. But to ask ourselves, how is my mind now? And like check in, having this kind of awareness, and this, it's like a self-check, really. How is my mind now? And then, if our mind is agitated or stressful, that we can actually shift it, by either doing our meditation, our mantras, prayers, or just making a decision to, Om Shuddhi Shuddhi, let it go, whatever that aggravation might be. So how is your mind now? I love this. Rinpoche had so much wisdom. So thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more information about Lama Gangchen and his teachings, all of our recordings, books, the United Peace Voices, wonderful collection of mantras, please go to nalso.org, our meditation centers around the world, and any upcoming retreats, nalso.org. We also have an incredible streaming on YouTube that you can subscribe to and listen to all kinds of teachings there of Lama Caroline, Lama Michelle, and of course, Lama Gangchen. And if you'd like more information about the work we're doing here with the podcast, if you'd like to ask me a question, or you'd like to make a donation, contribute to the podcast, we're all volunteers, please go to lamahealer.com. And I also want to just do a shout out to United Peace Voices and all the members of United Peace Voices, especially Tiziana, for allowing us to use these incredible mantras that they've recorded and that are just so beautiful. So thanks for joining us today. Looking forward to seeing you and being together next time. And in the meantime, please be happy, be peaceful, be joyful. Lama again.
Kayo niroda evam vadima Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddho Ham. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Deshantata Gato Yahava Data Deshankayo Nirodha Evam Vadimaha Shramanaye So Aha Om Swa